When I search my memory for events and feelings belonging to my earlier boyhood in America, from the age of 8 to 16, I find for the most part a blank. There are only stray images, like those of early childhood, with no sense of any consecutive interest, any affections or sorrows. And yet I know that my feelings in those years were intense, and that I was solitary and unhappy, out of humor with everything that surrounded me, and attached only to a persistent dream life, fed on books of fiction, on architecture, and on religion. I was not precocious. I may have had more ability than the average boy, but it was lavished on boyish thoughts, and a certain backwardness, or unwilling acceptance of reality, characterizes my whole life and philosophy, not indeed as a maxim, but as a sentiment. Why have I forgotten all those years? The causes are no doubt physical, but the effects may be expressed in literary terms. The past cannot be reenacted except in the language and with the contrast imposed by the present. The feelings of children, in particular, although intense, are not ordinarily long-lived or deeply rooted. We cry desperately, or we silently hate, for not being allowed to do this or to have that. But these objects are trifles. If we remember those occasions, they would seem to us indifferent. We should be ashamed to confess those feelings, or we should laugh at them with superior airs, as if the things that now preoccupy us, if we outgrew them, could seem to us more momentous. Thus vast portions of the past, almost all our dreams, almost all our particular thoughts and conversations, become unrecoverable. Our accepted, organized, practically compulsory habits shut them out. But these habits themselves will change more or less with time and with circumstances. Even what we still think we remember will be remembered differently, so that a man's memory may almost become the art of continually varying and misrepresenting his past according to his interests in the present. This, when it is not intentional or dishonest, involves no deception. Things truly wear those aspects to one another. A point of view and a special lighting are not distortions. They are conditions of vision, and spirit can see nothing not focused in some living eye. Something like this was in Goethe's mind when he entitled his essay on his life, Fiction and Truth, or Truth and Poetry. Not that any facts were to be reported inaccurately or invented, but that his mature imagination, in which those facts were pictured, could not but veil them in an atmosphere of serenity, dignity, and justice, utterly foreign to his original romantic experience. I am no Goethe. The atmosphere of my aging mind is not Olympian, and in retrospect, it could not help lending to my insignificant contacts with the world flavors that Goethe's wisdom had washed out, though they were not absent from his younger days. I mean salt, pepper, and pity for mankind. I remember also that I used to walk home with another boy, not so old as I, but also much older than the other children, that there were banks of snow on both sides of the path, and that one day, it must have been in spring, for there was bush with red flowers in his grass plot, he said something very strange as he left and ran up the steps into his house. I reported that he had said to Susanna, who pronounced it pantheism. Perhaps it was those red flowers were opening because God was awakening in them. This shows how far my English had got in that kindergarten and how we lisped metaphysics there. More than once in my life I have crossed the desert in all that regards myself, my thoughts, or my happiness. So when I look back over those years, I see objects, I see public events, I see persons and places, but I don't see myself. My inner life, as I recall it, seems to be concentrated in a few oases and a few halting places, or sanctuaries, where the busy traveler stopped to rest, to think, and to be himself. I say the busy traveler because these long stretches of spiritual emptiness were filled with daily actions and feelings, later in my case often with giving lectures and writing books, yet always done under some mechanical stimulus, the college bell, the desk, the pen, or the chapter planned. Old thoughts and old words flowed out duly from the reservoir until the college bell rang again and the water was turned off. Of myself in those years I have no recollection. It is as if I had not existed, or only as a mechanical sensorium, an active apparatus doing its work under my name. Somnambulistic periods, let me call them. The curtain drops here to rise presently on other scenes. Time present and time past are both present and time future. Time. Thank you for viewing my channel these last few years. Hopefully I will see you soon.